Hey, do not adjust anything. I know it's Thursday, but we had some problems with some internet connection across the planet. So we managed to cram in the Fantasy Walkabout this week here on Thursday. I'm your host with the most time on his hands. I'm Thomas Tipple FF here with the new setup over here, and over there is my main man on the other side. It's Tom_Lee92. Joining us. Happy we could get everything figured out there, Tom Lee. Everything is secure over there?
Everything is secure. Whilst I'm in the future, it turns out our internet is in the past. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nightmare. Good. But, yeah, we're working for now. It's good.
Okay, we're making it happen. If anything does happen to pop up, well, guess what? We're going to figure it out. We'll get it done anyway. Look, this is the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast presents the Fantasy Walkabout. If we have any new viewers, this is one of two shows that we put out here with the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. You can catch our previous episodes over at the Dynasty Vipers YouTube channel, or you can go to fulltiltdynasty.com to catch up on your episodes. On this show, we'd like to talk about true value and what that means for fantasy football. It's not about the best, draft period value. I mean, that's a big thing in fantasy football to talk about, but that's not what we're here for. You can get that in a lot of places. We're going to talk mostly about leagues that exist, have existed, and what to do in those leagues to secure your true value on a player. Before we kick off, we did a couple of different things this week. I have been posting some banners, giving some away. I posted today that we were going to give a banner away. It is Antonio Gibson week for us here at the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. Don't know why. No big news. Just happened to be that way.
Just
exciting. It's just how we wanted to do things. So we're going to be giving a new banner. This is one of my favorite comments. Look, if you've ever seen the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast and have seen the people VRTDB, you know that the quickest way to my heart is complimenting the judge. So there were a lot of great comments, but this one here, he was kind enough to drop a follow, a comment. He's top notch. So our winner today, our winning comment is by Bobby Reynolds at IDP Bob of the @IDP show. I will be sending him over a Simmons banner because I see that he is a Simmons fan. So I think that's what we're going to do. Bob, if you're watching, hope you're watching. We're going to get you that banner over to you hopefully today or tomorrow. Congrats on that. And Tom Lee, one more thing. We are doing a giveaway. This is the first giveaway the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast Incorporated has ever done.
Patrick ticked it off. Yep.
Exactly. Patrick is here. Patrick is here. He's just beside me. Our HR alpaca is here. You will be seeing more of him as the season progresses, which, I mean, that may sound weird, but it's going to happen. On the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, nothing is impossible. Look, we're doing a giveaway, and because it's Antonio Gibson week, it is only fitting that we are doing an Antonio Gibson rookie card giveaway. Now, this is the score rookie. Tom Lee, it's the
something.
Yeah.
Score Rookie Chronicles
right.
Something card. Yes.
Right. So we have a bunch of these, and we figured why not give them away? So these are cased, these are good to go. We will be getting some information from people who follow some certain rules. Now, this is what you have to do. You have to be following myself and Tom underscore Lee 92. You can follow me at Thomas Tipple FF. You follow us both. You take a picture and you send a comment or a message to either myself or at Dynasty Tilt as to why you are the biggest Antonio Gibson fan. That's all you got to do.
That's it.
Next week, we're going to pick a winner. And that winner, and look, this time complimenting me is not going to do it. You got to have a real comment. Okay. There's no prettying it up. No nice haircut, Tom. Ooh, no, not going to work. That'll be a real comment about Antonio Gibson. So look, you follow myself. That's Tom Stibble FF. You follow Tom underscore Lee 92. And you leave a comment with one of us or at Dynasty Tilt on the Bird app. Or you can even do it at fulltiltdynasty.com. We don't care how you get it to us. Get it to us. Comment as to why you are the biggest Antonio Gibson fan. And we're going to set you up. We're going to get some information. We're going to send this card to you. And, just a little something, something. So we're going to repost all that information. We're going to make sure you get it. Make sure it's completely understandable. It'll be a fair bit. Going to be quick, though, because we will be back on Tuesday, our regular time. So quick giveaway over the weekend. We'll spam it. You'll know what to do. With all that being said, I think we're ready to get into this week's heart of the program. So look, a lot of people talk news, and it's Thursday already. So normally this is something we do on the Friday show, but we figured we might as well tap into it at least a little bit. You've probably heard news all week, right? Potential Jamar Chase scumbagisms, Jameis Winston over Taysom Hill, right? You've heard the comments and you've seen it. We're not going to drag through fantasy football news today. It's just not something we're going to do. The way we like to do it is, do we care? Do we give a shit about what is happening? I'm just going to run down a couple of things here. We're just going to run down a couple of things here, and we're just going to briefly kind of talk about if we care about the topics or not. So
that's it.
Exactly. So if you're just joining us, okay, you're going to want to go back to the start of the show where we announced the winner of a banner, which we're going to keep doing, and we announced a new prize giveaway with the information on how to win. But if you're just joining us and you don't want to do that yet, that's cool. We appreciate you anyway. Look, do we care? Etienne's out for the season. James Robinson's back. Gross. Do we care? Swift and TJ Hawkinson are banged up. Do we care that Jameis might have the edge on Taysom and that is Callaway's season? Teddy B winning the starting job. Sony Michel over Darrell Henderson is a thing. Thanks, Bob, for that gem. It was well thought out, but you caused a stir. And rookie performances. What do we care about? And if we care about it, why? Briefly.
Etienne, no. We do care.
I know.
We liked him. The film looked good. He looked good.
Yeah.
We hate Urban Meyer. But, it's a real shame. I mean, the stats aren't great on guys who miss their first year through injury, but we're hoping for the best for him. James Robinson, you can check out FF_ITDB's ranking updates. They probably best represent what we think of this and why we do care. There are slight changes both to redraft and to Dynasty in regards to James Robinson's rankings.
But you have to.
It's important. It matters. We have to do something with it.
Because it sucks. I know the argument's going to be, oh, we never got the chance to see if we were right, or, oh, you guys lucked out. We get it, okay? Yeah. But we're going to get into victory lapping after this. Look, I don't care about Swift and Hawkinson being banged up. Everyone gets banged up in the season. Don't really care about that. Jameis Winston versus Taysom Hill. Hill hasn't looked horrible, but Winston does look like he's pulling away. And I think a lot of that is because he has a good relationship with Callaway, which you can go check out. I did a video thread on Callaway. You can scroll down on my profile. It's there. You can find it. I'll repost it. All in on Callaway. Top 15 potential for that guy while Michael Thomas is out. Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson is hilarious. We don't know how it's going to turn out, but the Rams love trading away picks. They do. At an alarming rate. We'll see what happens there. I don't really care about that too much yet. Teddy B winning the starting job.
This is interesting. Yeah.
It's tough for me to be objective on the topic because I have so much disdain for Teddy Bridgewater, but
for all two gloves, yeah. I mean,
look,
I don't
he's
want to
sustained
care.
three. He's sustained 3 top 24 wide receivers.
That's the issue. Yeah.
He's got 2 good wide receivers. Well, 3 good, but 2 really good fantasy
Two
wide
studs,
receivers.
yeah.
And Noah Fant, who could be the third. I mean, it may not be the most horrible thing for Javonte either, but
No.
I wanted to see Drew Lock get another chance. I thought he looked great against the Vikings. Yeah. I cut some of that video up. You can go and check that out at Full Tilt Dynasty at YouTube.com. Yeah, I got the pitches, the sales pitches today. I got them. They're all. I'm not even reading them. I'm locked in on them. So we don't really care about this. Rookie performances, don't really care about that either. Rookies are going to struggle. It's a couple of snaps in the preseason. There's an extra game this year. We don't know how it's going to go. Just roll with it, okay? Don't
be too take heavy right now. I mean,
just save
like
it.
I said,
just embrace the calm is all we can say. Okay, so we don't really care about the news. That's the news for the week. We're going to get into Shits Me to Tears. So Shits Me to Tears is an Aussie slang. If you've been keeping up, we actually have a fun little game at the end of the show that we're going to put out. Lots of stuff happening from us today. But Shits Me to Tears is just something that bothers us like crazy. It just makes us want to put our head through window panes. And this week's Shits Me to Tears, it really shits me to tears when people take preseason victory laps.
Damn right.
Preseason victory laps is a real problem because you don't know what is actually going to happen. Half the time, none of us know. We have a process, but I mean, it's just that. It's a process. We don't know. We might have a little bit of insider knowledge. We got that friend of a friend of a friend, like it's Freaky Stories, giving us the inside scoop. We don't know. Okay. If you're preseason victory lap in week 1, I remember, remember when Melvin Gordon was like the smash preseason value, and what did he do for your team? He was okay, right? But you're victory lapping Melvin Gordon in the not preseason because there wasn't one, but in the off season, right? We don't know, okay? And if you do preseason victory lap and you lose, please, and it doesn't go your way, please just kind of chalk up to it if you don't mind, because we hate, it just be reasonable. It's okay to be excited. There's a difference between being excited and there's a difference between victory lapping, right? You don't want to be that person.
It's important to have your take, right? Like you want to have these opinions out there. You want to see what people think. Like that's the excitement of this industry. But
because you know what victory
injuries, man, like there's nothing worse.
You know what victory lapping does? You know what victory lapping does? It puts you into take lock.
Yeah.
Right? And take lock, as we all know, is bad. It's not good. Right? You don't want to have take lock. It's really bad. And there's no way out of it because everyone remembers the victory lap and everybody wants to chop you down, right? Everyone wants to see you. Yeah, exactly. Well, sometimes, right? People do it politely, right? Jacob. People do it not very politely, Jacob. And it can go either way, but for the most part, if you're preseason, we talked about it a little bit too much, but if you're preseason victory lapping, people are going to remember. They're like elephants; they don't forget, especially when you fail. And if it's on the internet, it's forever. So remember that. Someone screenshotted it and sent it to 3 of their friends already.
Yeah,
just remember that. Look, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some players. Now, what we've been doing is we've been taking quote unquote true value players from each team. And talk about if they are a true value or not. And we hired a stats researcher. You've seen him. I'm going to butcher his last name because I always do. But Matthew Bergstein, you've seen him as Matty B in the comments and over there on the Bird app. He has joined the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast crew. He is helping us get our statistics in line. He's helping us research and helping me specifically do a lot of the things that I'm starting to not have time to do as the host with the most time on his hands. I'm gonna have to end up changing that moniker to the host with the dwindling amount of time on his hands. So Matty B is hopping on with us. Big thanks to him. He helped us get some of these stats. So when we come back, we got Charles Mustafa, our Gibson RB5 in PPR. Higher than me, but I dig it. I dig it. That's the boldest
follow
it's
us
been.
both. Send it through.
Hey, and I see that you got cards in your profile picture.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, if you're just joining us, we announced how you can win an Antonio Gibson rookie card at the beginning of the show. So you're going to want to download this episode, which will be out tomorrow, or watch the beginning over there on the Bird app. So remember, when we come back, we are going to talk about players and their true value. We're also going to dive into some rookie statistics from this week that kind of threw me off from my initial perception. So tune in. Don't run away. Quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to get into it. All right, let's go. All right, Nathan, smooth with it on the transition. Last week we cut it off, but this week we're coming in hot. One of our favorite value players, right, out of Green Bay. It's A.J. Dillon, everyone's favorite Green Bay Packers meme. His thighs are known around the world. The clap of his thighs can be heard from any part of the globe over there in Australia to Canada, where I am. We hear it. A.J. Dillon is DLF ranked RB 33. Now, I know we don't talk about startup value here, but it's important to understand where these players are being valued right now. If you're in a league that's 2, 3, 4 years old and you're not checking yearly how these players' draft values are being changed, I think you're playing the game incorrectly because you are doing yourself a disservice for your money. And look, fantasy football is great, but you want to win money. Right at the end of the day, okay, you don't mind winning a little bit of cash. And if you're not checking draft rankings, you're probably not winning as much as you could be. So that's important to remember. Look, he's the overall 98.33, very specific Matty pick at DLF. I think that is a bargain. Just a couple of quick stats here. He averaged 3.57 yards after contact in 2020. He graded out as a 78.3 runner by Pro Football Focus. Was only put out wide or in the slot 3 times, but I mean, look at him. It's not what he did. He caught 21 balls his entire college career. And according to Roto Underworld, he averaged 2 evaded tackles per game, 18 on the season, good for 55th in the league, but he only had 46 carries. Dalvin Cook was number 2 in the league in the stats with 106 evaded, 7.6 per game, but had 312 carries. So he's explosive. He can make people miss. He did catch some passes out of the backfield, even though it didn't line up. He can do it all. His thighs are immaculate. And as you are yourself a giant of a human, I'm going to post that picture one day. You are massive. I think you're like 6'6", 310 pounds. I think I figured out, right?
Let's go with that, yeah.
Your measurements are weird over there. Your stones and whatnot. Look, I love A.J. Dillon, and I love A.J. Dillon at this price. You can definitely – he's going as an RB3, which they don't really exist, much like our wide receiver threes conundrum, right? There's just not 762,000 of them like there are wide receiver threes, but you're drafting them at this spot. Look, there are good players that go in that round, but very few of them are going to return the value that A.J. Dillon will, and RBs are kind of king. So – Tom Lee, do you love his value? Why? I kind of did a quick rundown of why I think you should. Real quickly before we do a little bit of Would You Rather. A.J. Dillon.
I'm coming around on him. I mean, we don't like to talk about in-draft value too much, but we like to talk about post-draft. I think if you're going to try and pick up an RB, and we hate the word upside, but an RB that could become something pretty decent, like the role that Jamal Williams had in this offense last year was appealing. He was serviceable. You know, Jones isn't always healthy. This guy's shifty. He runs it straight up the middle. Rodgers likes him, which matters as well. And Rodgers is back. And this offense is slowly becoming more and more run reliant, run heavy. You know, he's going to have good usage, good volume. I didn't love him coming out of college. I thought he was a little bit too big. But if you're using him in the right way and contrasting him with Jones as they are, I think 33 is way too low, and I think you can get him pretty cheaply, or try to work him into some sort of deal where you're adding him as a secondary piece. Valuing somewhere in that late RB2, sort of 24, 26 when it starts to peter out. I think you can really get good on him as to pick him up. He's a really intriguing prospect right now.
Yeah, he's just an easy smash for me at that spot. I mean, any higher, and I might be saying no, please no, but I think at that spot, I mean, it's worth. So AJ Dillon, couple of players. Would you rather AJ Dillon or Damian Harris?
Dillon.
Okay, AJ Dillon.
We're talking dynasty for those people out there.
Always dynasty. Come on. Sorry, I know new listeners and stuff. We do only talk
excitement
dynasty
of redraft. We do.
This isn't redraft best ball. You can catch FF_RTDB for all that stuff. Not us. I will lose money. Okay, on the redraft best ball, I'm gonna lose it all. All right, I know that. Okay, my process not great for it. It's not great.
We still love
negatives.
It. Yeah.
Negative return on my fantasy investment equals divorce. So we stay away from best ball and redraft on this show. We do dynasty because at least I can be like, right, it's dynasty. I got more years to make it up. I have an excuse. Right. So Damian Harris, AJ Dillon, you went AJ Dillon even post Sony Michel trade. Interesting.
Yes.
Do we want to do AJ Dillon or do we want to do Travis Etienne now?
I'd probably still take Etienne in that situation.
Okay.
Draft capital, security. James Robinson's on a 3-year deal.
Is there security? I don't know.
No, there's never security.
It's not great. But look, I just wanted to stir the pot.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good chat.
I just wanted to stir the pot. Are we going AJ Dillon or Cam Akers? Achilles injury, real tough. Draft capital, second round.
Yeah,
it's tough. More production from Dillon after this season. Which way?
After about RB24, this really gets interesting. You can convince yourself one way or the other, depending on what day you have. I'm going to stick with Akers.
That's why I like it. Okay.
I'm going to stick with Akers. I think.
Is that because he has a higher perceived value?
I think that's it. I think higher perceived value out there.
After 1-2 touchdown game, 4 reception game out of AJ Dillon, I think you're going to be able to flip that because people are very.
If you've got AJ Dillon, you're probably not sending him until.
People are very. What is it called?
Twitchy.
Recency biased. Recency biased. Tilty is good too. I like that. Look, there's a couple of players you can draft over here at this spot, but right now, over all those guys, I mean, Darrell Henderson, taking AJ Dillon, right? Those back end guys for the running backs, he's kind of the last one on the tier of guys that I would be willing to take, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna call that good true value. Next up, we're going to talk quickly about this player. He's been talked a lot about this offseason. We don't know who his quarterback's going to be. We kind of assume. We are going to do Brandon the Man Cooks. Look, his DLF is wide receiver 47. That's low. That's low. Too low. Yeah. You're too low. Overall pick 100. 9th in snap share in 2020. 18th in targets, 20th in target rate, 13th in air yards, 12th in deep targets with 22. He's had 5 top 16 seasons in 7 seasons total. Played, I believe, 1 he was hurt. The guy, no matter what team he's on, is good. What do you like about Brandon Cooks this season?
He's so cheap. It's just insane. Like, you can see him being thrown in as value. 47, like there's guys out there who haven't played a snap yet at 47, and this guy's done it 5 out of 7 years. One he was
De'Ami Brown, right?
Yeah, like just I don't know how you can't want to pick him up right now. Even if I understand, like the issue is we have no idea if someone's going to be throwing him the ball this year. That is a concern, right?
I mean, at worst, it's Tyrod Taylor, right?
In theory, yeah, but you're right. At worst, Tyrod Taylor, he's thrown the ball before, which is a nice thing to hear about your quarterback. He's just outstanding value. There's no real downside to it because you're not investing a lot into him. You can swap picks within tiers and pick him up as an extra piece. He's just the perfect name on an offense that is just dire right now. It's probably the one positive thing about Houston right now you can actually be excited and interested about.
Yeah, I mean, There's no one else there, realistically. And I know Nico Collins is a thing for people, but he hasn't done anything. I mean, Randall Cobb is even gone now. He's over there in Green Bay because that was the deal breaker for Aaron Rodgers for some fucking reason. That's what held him away from Jeopardy. Randall Cobb. But we obviously love Brandon Cooks. We're smashing that. That's true value. There's no way he doesn't return that, even with Tyrod Taylor. I mean, the only way is if it's Mills, and even still, Mills should be able to find Brandon Cooks 5 times.
He's going to be open.
Yeah. 5 receptions a game, 4 receptions a game out of Brandon Cooks. You're returning that ridiculous value. If you let Brandon Cooks fall this far, okay, you don't take him, you're giving someone else in your league an advantage. That's bad process for winning money. We get it. De'Ami Brown is sweet and all. Brandon Cooks, though, definitely has a better chance of helping your dynasty team. You can go trade for Brandon Cooks pretty easily. Shouldn't cost you a second. Maybe it might cost you a second. You might even be able to drag something else out of that player for him. He's just not a flashy player to have. And even for a second-round pick, whatever, you know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
Don't be scared off. Tom Lee, I want you to let the people know who the player out of Indy is that we're going to be looking at.
That's it. Today. Indy, wide receiver 1 in theory for Indy, Michael Pittman. DLF wide receiver 45, so he's just before Cooks, which is interesting. Might talk about that in a second. Surprisingly better against man coverage than most would think. He looked like he only ran 1 route last year, which is not correct, but still. 71% success rate against man, which is pretty great. Not as good a success rate across the league against other coverages, but that's okay. Look, he's an interesting prospect because coming into year 2, we didn't see a lot of him. Phillip Rivers couldn't really throw the ball that well. He had the injury last year. The reason we're talking about him is because he's in such an interesting range in the draft as well as post, because we know he's talented. We know they invested their first pick at 34 last year in the draft into him. And we know that, in theory, Carson Wentz should be now healthy for week 1. So he's got everything set up for him to be successful. Yeah.
That was a fun overreaction. Oh, he's going to be gone 6 weeks. Sell Jonathan Taylor.
They said 12.
Bah! Yeah. Get out of here. Look, I like Michael Pittman.
He's fascinating. Yeah.
Statistically, he should have a chance to be relevant. I mean, T.Y. Hilton's still going to be a thing against Houston. Seems to be the only time he shows up now. We don't know what we got with Campbell, though he looked great, in the game 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. Fantastic catch down the sideline. He's finally looking healthy, but
that's the
overall,
issue. He's looked great his entire career. It's just,
right. Pittman's profile wasn't fantastic. Like, out of the guys, I think he was a mid to late second-round pick in rookie drafts.
Yeah.
Last year for Superflex, right? Actually, even probably for single. So, he's just not a fantastic profile as a player, but he should have the opportunity. Now, hear a lot of those words that I'm saying. Should. If you profile, he could. The opportunity is there. Like, there's too many of those words for me to buy in. Is his value okay? Well, look, his overall value is 96.5. And Brandon Cooks is 100. I want to give you a second to put together. What I am telling you is that Brandon Cooks, Mr. Top 16 himself, right, is being drafted after Michael Pittman. So if you can go and trade Michael Pittman for Brandon Cooks straight up, and you want to win, why? And you should always, in any way, kind of sort of want to win. Why aren't you? That's
what are you doing?
Dumb. Not saying Michael Pittman can't be good. What I'm saying is Brandon Cooks for Michael Pittman is hilarious, and you should be doing that every time. So I'm going to say no on the true value for Michael Pittman, and I'm going to keep hammering home that Brandon Cooks valuation is fucking absurd. It's absolutely insane. Look, the next player, his ankle is bummed. Wow. And maybe Jerick McKinnon might have some relevance for the first week or two.
God.
But DLF's running back 12, pick overall 20.67. Thank you again, Matthew, for the specifics.
So accurate.
We're not just round that up there. It's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Look, a lot of people overdrafted him last year. A lot of people sour about it. Yep. I'm one of them. I'm not that sour, though. He's going to be fine. Now, the 12th running back off the board in Dynasty is not bad. It's high, but it is not bad. I think he's gotten a boost recently because preseason started and people are starting to realize there's no one else really there. Damian Williams is a jag, and Jerick McKinnon has no fuel left in the jet. So what sticks out like a sore thumb is that he was number 73 in the league in slot snaps, 17 in routes run, 237, and 17 with an 11% target share. His true yards per carry was 4.31. I hate the yards per carry stat. Their entire offensive line was decimated. I hate the stat as a sticking point, but I suppose it is a good stat for
still a stat, yeah.
Putting some substance to what happened, right? We're gonna put it that way. It's the best way I could think of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Look, he had a ton of touchdowns called back. He might have led the league in touchdowns called back. I think it was 9. I think Jacob mentioned it a couple weeks ago. It was just an absurd amount of touchdowns that were called back. The value is too high for me when I'm in a draft. Chances are, if the 20th pick, I'm probably not going near Clyde Edwards-Helaire until the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I have personally picked him up in the 4th round. In fact, Jacob sniped him from my roster, 2 picks from me in the 4th round. And then right before my pick, Javonte Williams got picked, and I almost flew off the fucking handles because emotionally I wasn't prepared for both of my favorite 4th round running backs to get fucking drafted back to back in front of me. So
but it hasn't affected you at all, which is good.
I'm not still thinking about it a week after the draft.
It's completely off your mind.
Completely. Totally grown up. Fucking. Anyway, moving forward, look, with Clyde, he's going to get the workload. This isn't like an iffy maybe. He's going to get the workload. His ankle is bumped up, but I don't care. He'll be healthy for when it matters. He's going to catch enough passes. They were scripting screen passes to him in a way that they didn't last year early in a preseason game. They want to use them. They're going to use them. And he looked pretty damn good running the football, too, because that offensive line is revamped. Smashing Clyde Edwards-Helaire. This value, though, a little high. If you truly believe, I understand. I don't think that this is his true value, but this is this is one of those situations where I'm comfortable taking, right, Clyde at that spot.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with it, not happy with it. Not a true value. Clyde for you is a...
Well, this is where we talk about it. This is why we don't like talking about in draft, because 20 for me is too high, right? Second round, it's probably going to be your RB1, depending on what you've done if you're late, because 20 round. So, yeah, it depends what happens. You're probably taking a QB round 1 if you're in the top 4. Do I want him in the second? No. There's some other players around him that make it interesting. So I think the game that we play of Would You Rather sort of frames him more interestingly, because the value itself at RB12 is fine for me. That's fine. You can have that take. It's at the top end of where I would have him. But like you said before, there's nothing really wrong with that. You can sort of see how they got there. Has the offensive line finally back, and they shouldn't be giving away as many penalties calling touchdowns back, which is
oh my God, I know.
To watch.
It was,
and he was shifty.
Insane.
He's never had long speed. We know that about Clyde, but he's really shifty inside. And with the threat that is Patrick Mahomes, there's a lot of holes and a lot of running room for him to go into. And we saw him break off a couple of good ones throughout the season as well.
His first fucking touchdown.
Everyone was really, really just upset because they wanted essentially what JT gave
Jonathan
from
that same
spot. That's the issue. Yeah.
But that's where process has to meet understanding.
It does, yeah.
In my opinion.
The generational athlete with the good setup who was behind someone else who didn't kill.
Remember, every rookie before they step on the field is generational.
Yeah, exactly.
Every one of them. If you're on the bird app,
they're in a generation.
They're generational. And their next season, right, their rookie year will be the best year of their career to that point. So remember, that's why, the hype can be so crazy for some players because oh my god.
Let's play the game, Thomas. Let's play
the game. I love this game.
CEH for you. All right. You taking CEH or you taking DeAndre Swift?
Clyde.
CEH or Aaron Jones?
Clyde.
Okay, interesting. I might come back to talk about that one. CEH or Austin Eckler?
Clyde.
And finally, CEH or Javonte Williams?
Fuck you. Oh, fuck.
We both love Javonte, by the way, for those who don't know. It's tough, right? We haven't seen Javonte do it, but essentially it's a lot. Yeah, it's the same thing.
They're the same player.
Yeah,
right? Like copy and paste. Javonte drafted in the first round to Kansas City at 32. Hey, Clyde, they're the same guy. I think Javonte's a better runner.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's brutal. I think it's still Clyde.
I think
I'm sorry, Javonte. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think Javonte. If Melvin Gordon could just go away. Bridgewater, actually, I think I'd be happier, but not a Vic Fangio offense. I think that's the biggest thing. But I think for me, I'm still Clyde. That was brutal, though, and I'm not happy that you did that to me.
I'm gonna hear from Patrick about that one.
I'm gonna send an email to Patrick as soon as we're done, and it's gonna be in all red, and it's gonna be all caps. That's right. See, he gets it now.
Oh, yeah,
look, we're going to talk about one more player before we discuss some rookie quarterback action. We're going to talk about the Los Angeles Chargers wide receiver standout. It's Keenan Allen. Look, he's going as the wide receiver 15 right now. He's right in and around that 40th, 39th pick. Look, he's elite, and he's getting a good quarterback. He was 5th in the league in targets. He was 58th in deep targets. Not great, but that's not his jam. They've got Guyton out there running go routes every play, so they don't need him. They don't need Keenan Allen to go deep. Look, he's just a good player. There's nothing about Keenan Allen to me that's just like, I don't like him. Yeah. Right? There was he gets hurt a lot. Not really. Not the last couple of years. He might miss a game or two or play through a thing or two, but his injury-prone tag, which is
the biggest issue last year, was when he ran onto the field, said, "Don't sit me," and then played one catch. He got one catch, played the rest of it blocking. That was the issue.
Yeah, and some players will just do that to you. But if you're playing Keenan Allen with one leg because you didn't pay attention or go read or listen to any of your favorite podcasts or some of the great people like Dave Kluge and Christian Williams and John Helmkamp, all these guys that day in and day out keep you updated with injuries. If you're not using the resources you have, or Jacob or Billy or any of the people out here day in and day out that are keeping you up to date, and you're risking putting him in your lineup anyway, that's on you. You can't blame anything else. Oh, he's injury prone. It's on you for thinking that a receiver with one leg is going to give you his regular freaking production. Did sorry.
Did you start him anyway last year, Tom?
Did I? Keenan Allen?
Week? Yeah.
I don't think so. Did I? Oh, did you?
It's not great. That was my bad. In one league.
It's not great.
I hedged my bets, and the bets got hedged.
That's a little different. Good. That's a little different. Yeah,
I sat 3 shares and played 1, but you're right.
Exactly.
Processes.
Look,
I'm not blaming him. I'm blaming my process, and that's the key here.
Yeah. Right. There's only one Julio Jones, the man that can play through every injury status ever until he's actually not on the field. Okay, so it's not his fault. Everything about Keenan Allen, his hands, his route running, red zone threat, target competition. Mike Williams isn't going to play through the season. Ugh. They drafted Palmer, which is fine. He's okay. Eckler, we don't really know with Lynn gone what his receiving totals are going to be. That's why I'm off of Eckler right now. I want to see it. And Guyton is just kind of running go routes. He's the fullback without actually being a fullback. He's drawing coverage away from the running game and the passing game. He's he is the definition of a decoy receiver on the field. He doesn't matter. And Jared Cook is their tight end these days. And I mean, there's the beauty Parham, but everything about Keenan Allen screams wide receiver 1 season this year.
It does,
and for the year after. The contract is good. Everything about him is age. The only thing I don't like about Keenan Allen is his price. Right? The 15th wide receiver off the board. There are some wide receivers that I could definitely see myself taking, because who gets pushed up? Right? AJ Brown gets pushed up in drafts. DK Metcalf gets pushed up in drafts. Jamar Chase, he gets pushed up in drafts. Justin Jefferson gets pushed up in drafts. And what does that do? It pushes some other guys down. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, other phenomenal wide receivers. So wide receiver 15 with the youth at the position, like T. Higgins, etc. In Dynasty, I can't do it. But trading for Keenan Allen, way easier than drafting him. For Keenan Allen, for you, Tom Lee, what is your sticking point with him as I have laid out the pathway for you?
We agree about everything, right? He is one of the most watchable players, enjoyable to watch players, and now he has Herbert there. It's even better because you get to see the ball come out quicker, hit him in the chest, and get that was fun to watch, right? The issue is not necessarily in draft the price. If you like Keenan and you want to win now, what's that, 4th round? So he's one of those guys you could definitely take. I'm not too concerned. The issue, as you laid it out, was, are you going young or are you going established? Because the issue here is that he's, 29 this year, or turning 29 this year? It's tough. There's so many of those young guys sitting right behind him in the ADP. We can run a few off. We won't play the game on him, but this is just to give you some context. Just before.
Oh, no, I want the game. You bring the game. I want the game.
Well, I won't spoil the game, but there is a bunch of young guys sitting both above and below him that are going to sit in that same region of your drafts that you've got to make a decision on. Are these guys the future, and are they going to become the wide receiver ones with that value? Or are you going to take what you know right now, which is a wide receiver 1 for the next 2 years, or should be, in Keenan Allen? That's the decision you have to make in draft. And if you're trying to win now, it makes him more accessible to go out and get as a wide receiver 1. He doesn't have the same name as the Adams. He doesn't have the same name and the value associated with some of these younger guys, but you can go and get him and he will perform that same role for your team. So his true value is to buy him right now. Kind of hard to sell him for more, unless you're trying to get younger with your team. Because right now the young guys have all of the name value.
Even with getting young for your team, you should still be trying to win. So that's my
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
I think you can win. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's play the game. Hit me with the guys. Let's play the game.
So, just above him, Chris Godwin. You're going Keenan or Chris Godwin?
Keenan Allen.
Keenan or DJ Moore?
DJ Moore, it's on brand.
Yeah,
I hate you so much.
DJ Moore, for those interested, is going at wide receiver 12, so just above. Keenan Allen.
I hate you so
Brandon
much.
Ayuk.
Go, Keenan Allen.
Yeah, so Ayuk is the next one off the board, right? It's the same round, 42
really?
off the board. Yeah, so that's where it gets interesting. So Keenan Allen or
I love Ayuk, but that's high.
Yeah, right.
That is high, too high. If I can get, oh my God, if I can get Keenan Allen for Brandon Ayuk, if someone could take a screenshot of a trade that they did, that trade that they got Keenan Allen for Ayuk, if you can screenshot that to me and send it to me, and just try to make it not obvious that it's your burner account in a league that you're playing in. I want to see proof of that. What's the next one?
Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper?
Amari Cooper.
So Amari Cooper's going 3 later than Keenan is.
Yeah, I would take Amari Cooper.
Yeah, Keenan Allen or T. Higgins?
I fucking knew you were going to go T. Higgins.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Keenan Allen there.
Yeah.
Okay, I love T. Higgins, but less competition.
So the last one for me is interesting, right? So this guy's coming off the board a whole round ahead of Keenan. But Keenan Allen or Terry McLaurin?
Oh, fuck.
Because this is it, right? So Terry has become this young wide receiver 1 in most people's eyes.
Right.
But production-wise, you're probably going to get exactly the same. That's the thing is...
They're going to at me, okay?
Yeah. In the draft,
Gavin,
around to take Keenan.
Gavin,
that's easy.
if you're listening, I get it. I hear you. I understand. I know. It's tough. It's a tough world. I don't think Fitzpatrick is your savior, bro. I don't. I'll take Keenan Allen over Terry McLaurin right now.
And there is your grab for this week.
And mostly because since we're talking about other values, you're probably going to be able to get a plus with Keenan Allen.
That's the key.
For Terry McLaurin. With any of those guys, right? You're going to be able to get a little bit of a plus, right? So
it's exciting.
Or it's going to cost you a plus, right? If you're selling Keenan Allen, you're going to get a plus with those players. Yeah. If you're trading for them, you're going to have to give up a plus for those players for the most part.
Most
in leagues that exist already.
The wide receiver core for me. That 12 through to 20 range is fascinating. That's because of the age profiles.
Freaking tough.
It's good.
That's an interesting trade offer, but not good enough. Sorry, I'm getting a live trade offer just now. It just kind of popped across my screen. Matty B did make it.
I fully thought my internet shut itself.
No, no, my fault. My bad.
It's like, look, no!
It happens every once in a while. Look, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit of quarterback statistics before we roll on out of here and talk about a little bit of content that has been out and how you can win yourself a Antonio Gibson rookie card, courtesy of Tom Lee over there in Australia. So sit tight. We're going to come back. We're going to talk quarterbacks. Everyone's favorite. Look, quarterbacks, everyone loves them, right? I post one video about Zach Wilson, and it's almost at 14,000 views, which I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Matt B did make it. He is here. He is on Fuego. He did a great job. The newest member of the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, officially, our stats research and master extraordinaire, and somewhat feisty when you talk about things he doesn't like. But politely. Look, Zach Wilson looked outstanding. I was going to kick off this whole conversation with Zach Wilson because, my God, if I've ever had a player turn my opinion around in 2 preseason games before in my fucking life, it's Zach Wilson. He looks better than advertised, right? He golden like arm, all those phrases, golden arm. He looks like Mahomes. It's effortless. The flick of the wrist throws was a comment or a quote tweet from my video, which is pinned to my profile. The flick of the wrist is what's dangerous. It's true. He does it. And no rushing attempts. His ADOT was 5.7. He had 11.6 yards per attempt. He had an 81.8 completion percentage without Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims. Now, but maybe a little bit less Denzel Mims, but no Elijah Moore. And boy, is he making Corey Davis look like a fucking stud.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. 9 of 11 for 128 and 2. And those 2 were to Tyler Kroft. He targeted the tight ends at BYU. He did.
Spread it around really nicely. Yeah.
He looked comfortable. Nothing phased him. And the game plan itself was 100% what it needed to be. The play action, the rollout, but he made every throw and it was comfortable. Has he really changed his opinion for you? I posted that I think he's going to be the draft steal this season if this is what we can expect from him.
Yeah, so the key for me is a little bit like Justin Herbert from last year. The keys were, what's he going to be like when it doesn't go to plan? Because we know the upside, and I hate the word upside, but we know that his skill upside is there, right?
Yeah.
We know what he can do, right? It's a little like Fields, but in a different way. We know what he can do. The key for me, and I was watching him pretty closely this week, the throws he missed, there was one that he was on a rollout, threw it into the ground in front of Davis, and he's the sort of guy that strikes me as he'd be filthy with himself, he'd get really frustrated, and he'd focus on what he didn't do right?
Mm-hmm.
Just head up, straight back to the huddle, and then he rips off that beautiful tear to the outside, hits Corey Davis up the sideline. Check out the clips on your Twitter account. Just straight back to it next play. Just maturity, like, this is just part of the process. I'm learning, but I'm also brilliant. That for me mentally was really, really interesting to watch because I thought he wouldn't have done that. And the other thing is, can they establish the run with this game plan? They don't really have the RBs for me to do it, but it's worked so far with both the preseason games. So that for me is the major watch.
I don't think they need a running back. I think collectively with the 5 guys they have, they will make a running back, right? With the 5 that they have. I've on note of saying that I don't like Michael Carter. You all laughed at me. So, whatever. But I'm not a fan of his. So
Yeah.
But I think that the game plan will be fine enough, and the offensive line looks fine. Look, Becton has a concussion right now, which sucks, but I mean, what can you do?
Well, I think that's one thing to keep in mind with that Jets offense, right? Is that this team is still 2 to 3 years away from actually trying to be where it should be. So he is going to have games that burn you that don't look great. But as a player, he looks like the guy. And he's changed my opinion on him. Like, not only did he have
100% for me.
Yeah, now I think he can be that guy. It's going to take some time. It's not
people were stealing.
Year.
It's already clear that people were stealing him in drafts in the 6th, 7th round, stealing him.
Yeah.
One thing I want to note about him was his accuracy past 10 yards, right? So he was 1 for 1 of 20 plus throws. He was 1 for 1 for 27 yards. He was 3 for 3. This is great work here, Matt. 3 for 3s on throws for 10 and 19 yards. He was 3 for 58 and 1. And he was 8 of 13 on throws under 10, right? So 0 to 9. He was 8 of 13 for 96 and 1, and then throws behind the line of scrimmage, 3 for 3. He netted 10 yards. The throws 19 and above, or like 10 to 20, like those 4 throws is impressive to me. Right?
That's his range. That's where he lives.
And comfortably and accurately. It was fantastic. His 2 touchdowns.
They're highlight plays. They're the ones you love to watch.
Yes. But they don't even look like they're highlight plays for him right now. And it's the preseason and it's whatever you want to say, but it clearly shows that he can do what was advertised from BYU. Just throw the ball with velocity and deep. Now, the second best, we don't have time to talk about all the quarterbacks right now, right? But we are going to talk the ones that we missed today. We're going to talk next week for the week 3, and then we'll sum it all up. We're going to sum all this up on the preseason bye week before week 1. This is what we're going to do. So look, the next one, big talk, another guy making the biggest change on his value right now is McCorkle. It's Mac Jones.
Yes,
the Cam killer, if you will, right? All the talk all of a sudden is that we don't need Cam. Put Mac in. What a difference from just a couple of weeks ago. And some of it has to do with COVID stuff and vaccinated and not vaccinated. Put all of that aside. Right now, there's nothing that Cam is doing, even on the ground, that Mac Jones can't provide this team.
Yeah.
Okay? He is in control right now. And it is preseason. I get it. But this guy fits that system so freaking well. And it shows. He was 13 of 19 for 146 yards. He completed almost 69% of his passes. He had 7.7 yards per attempt. His ADOT was 8.8, higher than Wilson. And he had 1 carry for 3 yards. So whatever. Now, the thing that bothers me is his passing depth numbers. How many throws after 20 yards do you think Mac Jones hit last season? Or last week?
Last week. Let's go with 1.
0 out of 3 beyond 20 yards. So not great. Maybe it's the weapons. Who knows? But he was 5 of 8 between 10 and 19. That was for 82 yards.
Yeah.
And this is where I think the offense is going to live. How many completions do you think he had of between 0 and 9 yards? Just off the top of your head.
So he had what? This is last week?
Yeah.
Or this week? Last week. Let's go with 10.
17. He was 17 of 20 for 130 yards from inside 10 yards, which is a lot. I think that's where their offense is going to live. And they threw a lot of screens, right? So at the line of scrimmage or behind, he was 4 for 5 for 21.
Yeah.
So pretty bland, right? But when you look at Mac Jones as a player and his profile, it was kind of bland. That's where he lived. But that's why I think he targeted the wide receiver 30, like the Patriots targeted their wide receivers 33 times.
Yeah.
And the running backs 21. What concerns me is they only targeted the tight end 3 times.
Yeah.
The whole game.
2 of them.
They paid a lot of money to 2 of them.
Yeah, it's most of
so there's some room there. Are you impressed with Mac Jones, or do you just think he looks exactly as vanilla and bland as you thought he would?
So I was higher on Mac Jones than most. I had him in the end of that 3rd tier along with Zach Wilson coming out of the draft. So he was definitely a first-round pick, and I got a lot of shares of him because I thought he'd be doing this, right? He's not a sexy player, both body-wise nor how he plays, but he gets the job done. The concern I have in the preseason is he's underthrowing guys a lot. You said it before. It could be the talent, but I also think it's just because it's going to take time to get the relationship, the rapport with these receivers. And that's probably why those deep shots as well aren't coming off like they would have in college, because he just doesn't have that rapport yet with those guys. The key is Newton's not doing it. Cam Newton can't hit those guys, or hasn't shown an ability to consistently hit them. He can, and he's happy to take those shots, right? The issue for me is that he's underthrowing guys that he should definitely hit just because he's new to it and he hasn't got that rapport with them just yet. So it's not a concern. It's just a disappointment because his one advantage is how hyper accurate he is and how consistent he is hitting those sort of anywhere from the line of scrimmage to the 20. Yeah.
The one thing for me, right, with the deep throw thing is that his ADOT was still higher than Zach Wilson's last week. So as much as it's, he's not doing it, he's still putting the ball up at a rate at his ADOT that is impressive enough for me to say, like, easily, like, Mac Jones was clearly falling out of rookie drafts at the beginning of the second round, right? And it's coming clear that was a mistake.
You just don't let quarterbacks.
Okay, I think he is exactly as advertised. I am not as impressed, but I am not disappointed in him at all. He is exactly as advertised as a guy named McCorkle Jones can be. One player I want to talk about, last player we're going to talk before we get out of here, is on the negative side for me right now, and it's Trevor Lawrence. Mm-hmm. I am scared shitless of not Trevor Lawrence himself, but that team I think is going to hurt his value. Urban Meyer, ETN is gone. I'm worried 2 weeks into the preseason. He looks uncomfortable, or at least he does not look as comfortable as his rookie counterparts. I think this is going to end up being a classic scenario of the quarterback went to the actual worst team with the 101. Trey Lance didn't go. Sure, they traded up the third pick. He was the third pick. He wasn't actually on the worst team. Even the Jets look like they have a more competent team after the offseason than the Jaguars do. Yeah. I think the best rookie quarterback went to the worst team. And I think it's that the old adage, as someone would say, is really going to affect him. He was 14 to 23, right? That's only 113 yards. He barely completed. He barely fell under the 61% completion. He had under 5 yards per attempt. His ADOT was 8.9, which is great. But for a quarterback struggling to throw the ball, you want to see him use his mobility. He only had one carry for 9 yards. He was 1 for 4 on throws for 20-plus yards. It was 35 yards, but still, he was only 3 for 6. He only threw 6 times between 10 and 19 yards. Yeah. He completed half of them, and it was for 43 yards. But he made his money on throws behind the line of scrimmage, 5 for 5 for 22. And from throws between 0 to 9, 11 to 15 for only 84 yards. Right? He made his money conservatively for a team that was behind in that game because Callaway decided to bitch slap the Jaguars into oblivion.
Yeah, there was never phenomenal. A game. It was just over. Yeah.
What another thing, he targeted his wide receivers 63 times. That is, as a team, Jacksonville targeted the wide receivers 63 times. The tight ends 10, the running backs 24. Overall, look, Justin Fields had a bad day, 9 of 19, 47 yards. There were some drops. He got put in when that game was 30 points away.
Yeah, it was done.
That's tough to do. I feel like he kind of phoned it home. Trey Lance had a rough showing, but he at least had some things that were positive in that game still. I didn't see anything positive enough for Lawrence to make me not scared about what Urban Meyer is going to do to that offense when the games matter. Yeah. Obviously, I think you should still be drafting Trevor Lawrence, the 101 and a super flex draft. Trey Lance hasn't shown me enough. Neither has Fields to make me avoid that.
Yeah.
But I think it's the more better case of Zach Wilson has made a case for himself being the third quarterback off the board through 2 weeks. Are you worried about Trey? Real quick, are you worried about Lawrence now? Or did you kind of expect this kind of a bumpy road, slap you in the face start to his career?
So there's some huge positives with Lawrence, right? Number one is that he has the best offensive pieces of the three that we've talked about. All right, so he is the best wide receiving core with the most depth. He had a really good running back, and now that's gone and ruined and sad. But he's still got James Robinson, who's serviceable. The issue is he's getting pressured way too easily. That's one major issue. And they can't establish the running game, which is another concern. The other one, like you said, is Urban Meyer. That, like, what is happening with it? Are you putting your rookie quarterback in the best position to succeed, or are you not? Because that's the biggest concern for me. He's looked talented and fine. Like the way he rolled out and he had that one run for 9, that was improv. It wasn't planned. And he did really well. He's fine. He looks good. He looks fit, healthy. But I'd be spooked if I was in that pocket. It keeps collapsing in on him. And a lot of those throws you're talking about completing really short, and often just because of pressure. He has to check it down to the release valve. And that's the concern. That team's not built on release valves. They've got Jones, who can go over the middle as well as long. They've got Chark, who's really good long. They've got Chenault, who's a great gadget player and can do really anything. But if you're not putting them in positions to do what their skill sets dictate and you're throwing it to them short and getting stuck, you're limiting what you can do with your best piece now, which is your quarterback. So he's getting pressured too much. He's throwing short. He's making decisions that are fine. His processing looks really good. He just looks spooked and doesn't have the time to execute with the skill set that he does have. That's the concern for me.
He looks like a rookie, right?
Yeah.
The other guys haven't looked that way.
Quarterback. Like you can look
he's
at him.
He's a very good quarterback.
He is a very good quarterback. But he
does I think
not
part
have
of
what
it
he had last year. That's the issue.
Right. Yeah. And I think the coaching is kind of the Gardner Minshew might be the starter stuff, not getting all the first team reps.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening down there in Jacksonville, but I was really hoping they would be able to turn stuff around. It doesn't look like that's coming.
This guy coming through has been the next coming of Andrew Luck. He has been the thing the whole
for years.
Time.
3 years.
Straight away, the first thing he says, it's a competition for quarterback. Fuck off, it's a competition for quarterback. This was the number one pick 5 years out. Like, this is the guy. Yeah. All you're saying is narrative around, we don't know who the quarterback's going to be. We don't know who the starting.
We really got to prove it. This is the old coaches have to slap the shit out of their player to build their confidence up. This is a broken. It's a fast track to a broken relationship really fast. And
you look at Lance and Fields, right? Lance and Fields are fascinating because it's all upside for them, right? They have quarterbacks who can start ahead of them. That's fine. So it's all upside. These guys are going out and going after it, saying, all right, I want that job. I'm going to take it off you. That's what they're after, right? This is, I have the job, but you're not backing me up and saying that I do have it. You're also not putting me in a position to succeed. That for me is a huge issue. And I hope it fixes itself out once we get in the season. But right now, the concern for me is Urban Meyer, not.
Yes, the concern is Urban Meyer, Tom Lee, as you're starting to fritz out on me. But it is a good thing that we are fritzing out at the end and not at the beginning. Cool. Yeah, we lost you there for a second. But that's okay. As I was explaining, that was bound to happen. But we started to fritz out at the end. That's a telltale sign from, whatever higher power you want to believe. Odd soccer news in the chat. We're gonna move past that because it's soccer and it's soccer. So look, as I mentioned before, the winner of the new banner is at IDP Bob. Go give him a follow. You can check his show out at IDP Show. He's gonna have a Isaiah Simmons banner coming in hot.
Sick.
Yeah, 100%. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but for anybody who missed it, we are doing a memorabilia giveaway. That's right here because for some reason it is Antonio Gibson week at the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast. You have your chance to win this exact card right here, this Antonio Gibson card, rookie card. We will be sending it out to you, and the way that you can win is you must follow Thomas Tipple FF. You must follow Tom_Lee92, and you must leave a comment at Dynasty Tilt or with either of us as to why you are the biggest Antonio Gibson fan. And we will draw from that and select our winner. Do that. We'll be selecting it on Tuesday. A little bit of short notice. That's enough time. You can even do it right now. And complimenting me is not going to win you this one. Okay. It's just not going to happen. I know that's usually the trick with people via RTDB, as I mentioned before. It's not going to work now. Why are you the biggest Antonio Gibson fan? Win this card. We're going to do a bunch of these as the season progresses. We might even double some up. We don't even know. But we do know we're going to keep bringing you as good a content as we can. And speaking of that content, part 2 of Jacob's FF_RTDB, part 2 of his league breaking stack series is up now at playerprofiler.com. He put it up just before we went live here. It is done. The man has been working hard to help you win money. You are going to want to go and read that if you are out here on these cold best ball streets. Tom Lee, my man, I'm happy we got through this today. I will not be on the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast, but you know who is? The other Tom. Tom Lee will be helping the boys with the Full Tilt Dynasty podcast tomorrow, as I can't make it. You're not going to want to miss that. That's 6 o'clock Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. One thing I want to mention, as I always like to, right, is we're in a fantasy space, and just can we just be nice to each other, please? I mean, today, Sam, brutal. That kind of attacking mentality is not great. Tried to send her a message, couldn't get to her. Hope things are going well for her. We're going to keep trying to reach out, make sure she's okay. But just, don't be a dick. It's pretty clear. So, Tom Lee, final thoughts from you and our little competition that we have going on.
Yeah, so final thoughts to me, we like to get a little Australianism in here, and we're going to put some content up after the show as well. But this week's Aussieism is the Aussie salute, all right? The Aussie salute, the Aussie salute is waving away because there's so many damn flies over in the country. We're constantly flicking flies away from our face, so that is known as the Aussie salute over here. Just a little one in there. Yeah.
The Aussie salute. Giving you an Aussie salute is just waving your hand frantically in front of your face.
What's this going on?
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's what the Aussie salute is. We're going to chuck up polls this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to start like our little March Madness bracket, where we'll start putting Aussieisms head to head and get you guys to vote on it, pushing our way towards what is the best Aussieism as we head into the season. And we're going to try and turn that into a segment for the show throughout the season, which will be a bit of fun.
Right. So this week, what are we going up against here?
So this week we're going to have a couple of polls coming out. So there's going to be 16 words coming down because we know how March Magnets works. So we're going to have 8 matchups slowly posted throughout the polls before Tuesday next week, and then we'll tell you which ones got through. But yeah, we're looking to see what's going to be the hot favorite coming through. Have you got a favorite personally, Tom, that you reckon might get there?
Look, I've been pretty clear about it. It's the only one that has shut production down for 10 minutes, and we're not here to fuck spiders.
Spiders might get there.
Spider fucking has so far been the funniest thing I've ever heard in my adult life. The fact that it is a slang and used regularly is still the funniest fucking thing I've ever heard. So not here to fuck spiders, I think, is my early favorite for the competition.
It's a great name for a segment as well. I'm not gonna.
We are gonna get the Twitter account "Not Here to Fuck Spiders" to follow us one day. We're gonna get that follow. I know you're fucking out there, and I know you like and retweet every single time I mention it. We're gonna get the follow. Believe that for real. Look, we're gonna have the competitions. Tom Lee is doing a great job helping me crank this show out every week. This one's a little longer. We had a little more stuff. We're gonna clean it up and get back into rhythm.
We had a week off. It was always coming.
We had a week off. We had lots to talk about. But look, like I said, competition. Congratulations to Bob for the banner win. We're going to post all the stuff we talked about, the card game, all that stuff, the quotes that you love. Lots more content coming as the season progresses. Going to keep talking about true value. Try to be kind to each other. Don't be a dick, right? And again, go check out FF_RTDB's article on league breaking stacks. Go check out the Dynasty Vipers Network. You can catch all my other work on Fantasy Intervention. I'm your host with the most time on his hands. And like I always like to mention, that if you liked everything that we said on the show, well, you got to let us know. If you disliked anything on the show, well, you definitely got to let us know. Do you think that there's a guest out there that would match myself and Tom, the Tom and Tom connection over here? Guess what? You let us know. We're going to try to get them on here at the Fantasy Walkabout. Everyone needs that little bit of a spiritual journey through their fantasy football lives. Look, preaching positivity is something I am never going to stop doing. Be kind to each other. Check in on each other. Check in on your family, on your loved ones. You never know what's going on out there. Okay? So it never hurts to drop in and ask them how they're doing. Shout out to everyone I've been communicating with this week. Y'all have been amazing. Till next time, till tomorrow, for my mate Tom Lee over here and the other boys at Full Tilt Dynasty Pod. Thanks for tuning in. Much love, and ciao for now.